Well, hello, and welcome to Stop Let's Team Up. It's me, Ross, and I'm joined by Kirby again, and we're going to do the Marvel Team Up story you all picked, which is Marvel Team Up 63 and 64, Iron Fist in the first issue, Daughters of the Dragons in the other, by Claremont and Bryne. But first, well, I noticed something from I am Iron Fist on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, that he posts these wonderful things from his blog. It's worth reading his blog. I've gone in and jumped in a little bit, and he's a great follow on social media. But yesterday, today we're recording is the 25th of August. Yesterday was the, what is it, 30th anniversary or 40th?
It'd be, 1977.
What anniversary do you? But it was the anniversary of this comic coming out. The first comic we're going to cover coming out.
47 years.
47 years. Damn. I remember. Well, we're going to talk about how we got into Iron Fist and stuff like that before we go into it. Because I pulled out my Epic to read these because they're the last two issues in the Epic. He has one Epic, and I found out there is a second Iron Fist Epic, which is the Deadly Hand of Kung Fu one. Because that's also the two Omnis. I've got this in the Epic, and these are the last two stories in it, because this is his entire Marvel premiere run, his entire 15 issues of his own solo book, and then these last two, and then it will move into Power Man 50, and issue 51 will become Power Man Iron Fist. So we want to talk. But I pulled this out and I read the first Iron Fist, and it was very generic. I'm a little surprised. I know why this book was successful, because Kung Fu comic heroes were really successful, and this is a good character. There's a little bit of Lost Horizons in it. There's a little bit of Pulp Magazine in it, which Breaker will use to masterfully later for this character. So it has that kind of rich thing, but I think my first one that I ever really read had to have been one of the Byrne issues, and I really think I'm thumbing through it because I'm trying to look for that splash page where I remember it, because I don't remember what issue it was, but oh, I know which one it is. Oh, I think I got it. These two bad guys that were kind of stupid. Oh, it might have been near the end. I think it was near the end. It was either near the end of... it was the last couple issues in his own book, and then these two team-ups. So I've read all the Claremont Byrne stuff. I've not read the stuff before it completely. I mean, I've read most of them, but I may have never sat down and grabbed the run and read them. Because this is more my brother's kind of comic. Until it gets to Power Man Iron Fist, and then every issue. So I came into the Claremont Byrne. What was your intro to Iron Fist?
Okay, so this will be a little story to give an idea. So I'm 19. I'm at my buddy JR's place. He had the run of the Brubaker Fraction Asia stuff. Forward after at D&D. I'm like, hey, can I borrow this? I'm like, oh shit, I'm in. I am 100% in with that run. And then from Iron Fist, I got into Power Man Iron Fist, starting to get back issues of that. And then Danny was going to be in the Defenders, and a new series of that coming up. So that's how I got into Defenders. And so, yeah, Danny from the Brubaker Fraction run is my entry into Marvel.
Oh, wow. That's your intro to Marvel? That's a good intro, because I got that on
Well, I watched Spider-Man cartoons and movies and loved them, but never really got into reading until then.
That's cool, though. I like that. That's a good in. Because I got that omnibus, and I read that first through the tournament, and I kind of paused because I was like, I don't know how the next story could be any good. It's like, I know it is. I know it is, but it's kind of like, this is so good. How do you top this? And I liked it because it had all the pulp stuff in it. And the fact, there's a thing with, and I understand why they changed and they've given someone else the mantle of Iron Fist, because the argument of the Shangri-La part where the white man goes to the place and learns the skill and becomes a champion. Adding a second that there were different people all over through time, men, women, Chinese, Japanese, another white person, that it has been people from all over the world, and that Kunlun is more cosmopolitan than you think. It is not one group of people. It is a mix of people from all over the world. But I've not read any of the new Iron Fist. I don't know who he is. I don't think I've seen him. He even wasn't in Gang War. They used Shang-Chi and Danny, just Danny with no costume. So they weren't using him in that. So I haven't read it, and I don't mind it. Fine, as long as Danny's still around. But something got spoiled for me. Yeah, I haven't gone to the comic shop yet, so I will get it so I can read it. But we'll talk about spoilers at the end. But I get why they changed it. You know, it's kind of why they changed Shang-Chi's origin, even though. I think you can say Fu Manchu was a crime lord and use that name if you had the rights, but you don't need it. Then making his father a gang lord or a counter-revolutionary or whatever to kind of sanitize him so it doesn't come off as racist. It's like, you know, he could just be a Chinese criminal. We have criminals in America. His dad is a Chinese criminal. That's not racist. Not all Chinese people. He's a bad person. He just lives in China. But I understand this cultural appropriation thing. So, but I love Danny, and I think he's such a good character because he's such an average guy. They never make him. I think so when Claremont Claremont humanizes him a bit, but was it Joe Duffy the first writer in Power Man Iron Fist?
So it's like Claremont transitions Danny from here. And I just want to go back to early Danny in a minute. It goes from him to Mary Jo Duffy, and without putting she kind of wrote herself out of the book. It's like she made the book too popular. Other people wanted to be in on it, and I can't remember. It goes from there. Busick takes over for a while at one point, and then I think Christopher Priest ends the book.
They're all good writers.
Yeah. So they're all good.
But Danny becomes more down to earth. That he is I watched the Marvel shows on Netflix. I liked the first few. I got bogged. Iron Fist moved. They had a pacing problem for me, and I got stuck in the middle. But I think Finn. Oh my God, I can't remember his last name, and he
Jones.
Finn Jones, yes, but he's a Doctor Who actor. He's been in two big Doctor. He was in Sarah Jane as the grandson of Joe Grant, the third Doctor's companion. And then he went on to be on Game of Thrones. I like him, and he does his Danny is Danny. I liked it. He understood. I think he did his homework because he was down to earth. Yeah, I'm rich. But that's not a big deal.
Right.
He doesn't, and that he's been gone for a while. Because that's what makes Power Man and Iron Fist so good is these characters should not get along, but they do because they're real people, not every character in a comic book gets a real personality. Peter Parker has a real personality. I'm a Hawkeye fan, and depending on Hawkeye, he's got multiple, depending on who's writing him. And it's not fair. I think the best one is the one that, Thomas and Busick and all the good writers use, where he's got Hawkeye's got the worst imposter syndrome you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because that's what Troy Thomas puts it in, because then it's played, and when he does shine, he forgets about it. Like when he's a leader, I like it when he becomes a leader. But it's just a neat thing. But what did you when you were reading them? What did you think of the early stuff?
So you get clearly hey, we just kind of need to trade off on these stories. It's it starts with Roy Thomas, then he passes it to Lim Wein, who passes it to
Doug Mensch.
Doug Mensch, and then that gets passed around a couple times. And the thing that really struck me reading this the first time is, so Danny's explicitly 19 years old in these early stories. He's not written as Kung Fu Spider-Man. They write him as much old, he carries himself much older than this.
Because I've not read a lot of the early ones. He's supposed to be 19.
He's explicitly 19. He's explicitly 19 years old.
Claremont writes him like he's 20. He's 29, 30.
Yeah, no. That was the thing that struck me is he said when his his father, who was first in Kunlun, left, and then when he was searching back, Danny is 9 years old when he is brought to Kunlun. He is gone for 10 years, training in the city, and then when it comes back to Earth, he's fully formed as Iron Fist. So he's 19 in this and does not come across as that way.
Never, ever once. It's like the Rogue thing. Rogue's supposed to be like 16, or supposed to be like 40, and then all of a sudden she's 16, and then she's like 25. It's like soap opera aging. It's really bizarre.
Oh, man. So, just to kind of go with soap opera, so in the Brubaker Fraction, at one point they say Danny is 33, which makes him, and again, pure Spider-Man, as we'll get to in a bit. So it's like, Marvel writers, just admit that Spider-Man's like 35 and just get over it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's like the old DC rule that Superman is 33 years old. I think there's a Christ dumb that thing. People die at 33, so start them at 33. So you've read the whole run. Do you prefer the Claremont Byrne part?
The Claremont Byrne at least gives it a much more and I'm usually not a big fan of Chris Claremont. I think he overwrites in a way that generally I'm not a fan of, but here it really works because, again, we talked of like the pulp influences, so the purple prose of it I think really helps. And like the Byrne art is good, even when we get some wacky anchors, like we have Frank Chiamonti on that.
Yeah, it's not. But, he doesn't destroy it, but he doesn't help it.
No, he doesn't. But overall, like I would say, if you're interested, I would say start with the Brubaker Fraction, but then go to really go to the Power Man and Iron Fist if you want like peak Luke Cage and peak Danny, because those are two characters who work very good separately, but work perfectly 100% together.
Yeah, they do. And they're such good characters. Misty Knight, her and Colleen are both created in Power Man and Iron Fist, right?
Well, no, the show, Colleen shows up early on in the Marvel premiere run, and I was racking my brain. I couldn't remember where Misty Knight first showed up. I want to say she was in Luke Cage, but
that would make sense. That would kind of make sense. Well, we'll get to that when we get to these first ones. So we're going to start with issue 63 of Marvel Team Up, because this was the vote for the Marvel Team Up first story, and I was kind of glad because I randomly picked the issues, and I was like, oh, very nice. Right in my sweet spot. My sweet spot for a lot of Marvel Team Up is when Claremont and Byrne are doing it. Because right after this is the 2-part Captain Britain, which is fucking great. It's one of my favorite team ups. But these are. So this comic came out, release date was August 24th, 1977. Cover date, November 1977. It has got a great, great cover by Dave Cockrum, Frank Giacola, and Danny Crespi. I guess he was letterer. And it's Steel Serpent, Davos, beating up Iron Fist with Misty and Spidey in the background. Really, really love that.
Great cover.
It is a great cover. I love Dave Cockrum covers. It's so sad he died so young. I can't, he should have been on more books. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
So this one is written by Chris Claremont, pencils by John Byrne, inks by Dave Hunt. What do you think of Dave Hunt inks on Byrne?
I think it's not terrible. There's some I think he doesn't do a lot of good things with Danny's collar, where it looks really stiff as a board. I think it should look like it curves more, but
okay.
That's the only thing that really left out at me.
Yeah, I like Dave Hunt as an inker. He did some Titans over Ditko, which I liked because I was not digging Ditko's art on Legion. But letterer John Costanza, colorist Dave Hunt. I didn't know Dave Hunt was a colorist. Editor Archie Goodwin. That's always a good thing. No wonder this team up book was so good. So it's Spider-Man and Iron Fist, Misty Knight. I didn't know her first name was Mercedes.
Oh, and I checked. She did first appear during the Marvel premiere of Iron Fist's book. So
okay. I love her as a character.
She's good.
She's so good, so good. And she's a perfect. I like her and Danny as a couple. I think one thing Claremont's really good at is finding the male and female characters and tagging them with each other.
Yep.
And mixing them up. I think doing that because I love Misty Knight because Misty Knight is a strong, empowered black woman written in the 70s. And
Yep.
it always has been. She's never been a victim. She's always tougher than the men around her. She's tougher than Luke.
Yeah.
There are times where you're like going, Luke, man, she ain't afraid. You're bulletproof. She ain't afraid. And you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
And there were points where she was already having leading her own stories in the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu magazine.
Yeah.
By this point.
That's some stuff. My brother read that. My brother Hugh is the reason I'm into these because he liked Kung Fu stuff. He liked Bruce Lee, Shang-Chi, and Shang-Chi I love. Shang-Chi I bought in early because it had a lot of it's a spy comic. And it's so and Doug Mensch writes it for so long. It is so good. And they go from Mike Zeck, and then they have Gene Day and Mike. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So this I came to Iron Fist later. But Master Kung Fu is just so good. So good. I don't mind the modern Shang-Chi, but it's just they've had to change things. I like him when Bendis brought him into Avengers and that he stayed in it for a while. I like him as an Avenger. I think that works, and I'm glad he's going to be in the new Avengers Assemble book because he's cool. But so the bad guy in this is Seal Service, who's Davros, was Danny's rival in getting the Iron Fist power, and he tried to steal it before and only got part of it. I love him so much in the Brubaker, how they portrayed Dav. It's so good because he's not a villain. It's not a villain. You know,
it's a Kung Fu rival.
That's it. They're all rivals. I love all those different heroes. So I'm gonna do. I hate a long synopsis I can't steal. So I'm not going to read all of it. So basically we're getting the tie-up of this is kind of all loose from Iron Fist, and basically in these two issues.
Yep. And Spider-Man is kind of here because he's the anchor to the team-up book.
Yeah, he just comes to do an interview when all this stuff happens. But Danny is thinking about all the things that Claremont's giving us a flashback. What I like, he's thinking about stuff, but they don't show you. I like that. Right. It's just a thought. All this stuff has happened. Claremont's assuming, Iron Fist fans they're going to see that he's in this book and buy it. So I'm going to write it as if this was issue 16.
And that's exactly what these are.
Yeah, this is issue 16 and 17. I like that his version of Peter Parker is John Romita's version.
I was going to say, it's like, that is not a John Byrne face.
No.
Or it's a Byrne trying to ape.
No, because you never see his face up close, but a couple times. But it is definitely, I think it's JR Sr. But that's cool.
Yeah.
But Danny does not look 19 here. He looks 20 years older than Peter.
I know, because, and this is, at some point they mentioned it's been 2 years since you chose to leave Kunlun for Earth. So he's like 21 here. He's not drawn or portrayed as a 21-year-old.
No, it is so weird. So Peter Parker's there to do an article on Danny Rand. His identity is secret at this point, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So because sometimes he's secret, it's not secret.
It goes in and out, and I can't remember the Power Man Iron Fist run clearly enough in my head. I've got to do a reread soon.
No, at that point I think it's common knowledge. Because it's kind of hard to not go, Danny Rand and Luke Cage are best friends. How is Power Man and Iron Fist not the same two dudes?
Exactly, yeah.
But Spidey's sense starts to tingle when Danny lies to him, so he puts a tracker on the cab Danny's going on. Then we cut to the west bank of the Hudson near the Jersey Palisades. Are there cliffs? Because there's a cliff back there, and I've been to Jersey. There aren't cliffs.
No.
But Bushmaster, is it Bushmaster?
Yep, Bushmaster.
Bushmaster, who is in Why Are Fashions and Comics Always 10 Years Behind? But Misty's undercover.
She's undercover, and she looks damn good.
Yeah, Byrne drew Misty really well. She is Pam Grier badass.
Yeah.
But she knows that Danny's about that they're gonna kill Iron Fist, so she blows her cover and gets off the boat and heads off after. Spidey finds the cab, but Danny's not in it. And then you get to the Central Park. Is it Central Park? Bluffs overlooking the Hudson River. Okay, they're on the bluff. Okay, I got you. That's where they're at.
Yep.
And then there's this great fight scene between Davos and Iron Fist, and there's a little. Spidey has met Iron Fist before in Marvel Team Up 31, which I had forgotten. I thought this was the first time Iron Fist had been in the book.
Same here. I'm actually surprised that one isn't in this collection either.
Yeah,
You'd think just for completionists.
I wonder if that's in the Omni.
Oh, maybe.
I didn't get the Omni because it was like it's all in one epic. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But it's a really good fight scene.
I love the choreography here, where like they, even though it's gonna fight to the death, they're still gonna bow to each other as equals here before they just start. Oh, one of my favorite things that really Brubaker and all them did was like first move, a Koshi ball of the foot kick to the jaw, just roundhouse kick, flying roundhouse kick, Ushiroji back kicked into roundhouse. I'm like, oh, just give me all of this. I love it.
Oh yeah, and I noticed that even in the first issue when Thomas they do it. It's kind of like in more current Doctor Strange. They always tell you what spell he's casting.
Yes.
And I kind of like that. But this is a great scene, and I like it when when Steel Serpent steals the power from him. It's a single. You can see that the Kirby influence in panel layout. You know what I mean? That he will go, if I only need 3 panels, I'm only going to do 3 panels. If I want 4, I'm going to put them in a square. But I like that one-page thing where Danny's defeated. And
there's just so much good, like Spider-Man at one point in this fight tries to get in. Steel Serpent just grabs him by the foot, swings him at Iron Fist, and throws him in the tree, and he's out for this issue.
Oh yeah. Misty comes up with it. She's got a ray gun. Well, she's got a bionic arm. Hell, why not have a ray gun?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And she.
We're not going to be realistic here.
Yeah, it blows up a rock, and Davos just walks away, and it ends with a nice cliffhanger with Danny's unconscious body in Misty's arms. So what did you think? So you came into this after you found. Did you go to these issues? Did you go to the original run right after?
Okay, I want to say I hit more of Power Man and Iron Fist proper.
Okay.
Before this, so this was filling in gap. I read this, let's say 19. So I probably read these when I was like 23, 24.
Okay.
I'd say so.
Okay. So did you read I read these team ups probably before I read the other Iron Fist. My brother probably went, "Oh, did you like that? Here's a stat." He handed me the 25 Iron Fist comics he had. And I probably went through those early ones going, this isn't very good, I don't like it. So once I got to Claremont and Bryne and I knew, I started reading it.
Yeah.
But I love it. I like it a lot. I think it's well paced, it's well told, the art is spot on.
Absolutely.
And it's dynamic, and it's Marvel at its best in a lot of ways.
It really is. The only thing I would say is this is a great issue of Iron Fist, but if you're here as a Spider-Man fan, there's not a whole lot for you.
Yeah, like I said at the top, this is issue 16 and 17 of Iron Fist. And it's fine. It's fine. So,
I'm fine with that. Spider-Man's got he's 2-3 series going on at this point. He can take the back seat.
Oh yeah, and was I reading Spider-Man? I will read a Spider-Man comic if you hand it to me, and I'll be entertained. But they're only certain. I don't think I've ever read it for big chunks. Ever. It's not. He's not my kind of character. He's not my character. Right. Because I started with Avengers, so it's kind of that. So we're gonna go to issue 64, which came out on September 27th, 1977. Cover dated December 1977. Another great Dave Cockrum cover.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the Daughters of the Dragon, which is Colleen Wing and Misty Knight, showdown with the Steel Serpent, and Iron Fist is on the
If
ground.
death be my destiny.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, this is straight up Cockrum. That's why it looks so good. Yeah. But it's a nice action thing. I like it instead of. Oh wait a minute. See. Okay, on the this corner box, instead of just having faces, they have full length Misty in a Emma Peel pose.
Oh yeah, that is exactly what that is. Without it.
Yeah, because we're at the time where they're not only head. Floating heads is only on teen books, not on everything. Even the Avengers doesn't have the heads on the anymore. It's got the Vision standing next to the logo for that 15 years that's what it looked like. But it's the same creative team, except Bruce Patterson is a letterer. I know him as an inker.
Yep.
Archie Goodwin again. So this one stars Peter Parker, Misty Knight, Colin Wing. Iron Fist comes back at the end, and Steel Serpent. And this is just going to tie up. This is basically tying up Danny, but leaving Danny set up to that you can use him again, but definitely writing out his bad guys.
Yep.
Completing, there is no more story for Danny based on him coming from Kunlun. It is all. Does that make sense? Is this in case they never going to? But how quickly is he into Power Man Iron Fist right after this?
I was literally about to look that up. But yeah, no, it's like if Danny just rolled off the pier right here, you would still have a complete story.
Yeah. That's why this is a great epic. I mean, I think I am going to start and read this and read it straight through just to see how it reads, to get a flow of it.
Okay, so Power Man 48, which is where that team up first starts, is on sale date September 20th, 1977. Cover date December 1977. So these are what are these like the same day?
It could be the same month.
Yeah. So this issue. So actually, I guess number 48 came out the week before this one did. Then. All right.
So that's cool. So when I read this, that'd be an excuse to keep on going and read Power Man Iron Fist, which I bought all the epics because that is something I definitely want to read. Where did they? I'm looking at my shelf. Oh, they're in a shadow. I was like, what happened to my Power Man Iron Fist? And now that I have ROM, I have the one missing issue.
Yeah.
All right, so this one is. I lost my place. This one starts with them in Danny's apartment. He has got a poster on his wall that is. Look, what is he in college?
Yeah, they're in Colleen's apartment.
Oh, is it Colleen? Oh, it is Colleen's. Okay.
Yep, Colleen's Inwood apartment. So for someone who has no idea for New York City, that does nothing for me.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea where that is. And I don't know who is this doctor?
I thought her name was like Midnight Nurse, something like that, but I don't think they ever say. Oh, what? Oh, Rosario. Oh,
Rosario Dawson played Night Nurse.
Night Nurse. That's who I'm thinking. Is that not who this is?
Maybe not. I'm not sure. Did they call her by name?
I don't think they ever say her name. I don't think in like the 3 pages she's on they say her by name. Just she's referenced to have been called by.
Oh, Alice. She's called by the name Alice. Okay, let's click Alice. She's in the fandom wiki. She's got a tab. Oh, maybe not. Oh, come on, don't give me that. Yeah, I got to pull something up. But maybe she is supposed to be Night Nurse. I mean, that's who it is later books. But, he's just he's unconscious. They don't know what's going on with him. His power's drained. But he wakes up when Misty's sitting next to him. See, this is what I like, man. These are what's good about that. Claremont really does create Danny. I think that Danny is just an average guy. You see it here with his relationship with Misty.
Yeah.
And she's all badass except when it comes to him.
Yep. And I don't know, maybe I just like in 77, like them being, mixed race couple, like that to me never really feels like it's an issue. And I
It's
do
not.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Never was. I don't think because we didn't have Twitter. I bet if we had Twitter back then,
Oh God.
the
Well,
racist would have come up. But I think it's great. She's a great
it's a
character.
great, like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great character. Mm, I, I just love their relationship throughout the ensuing 40 odd years. So.
Oh yeah, no, it's like they break. Even when they break up, they're still a cute couple.
Yeah.
And get back together. And I like Colleen Wing in these. I don't know her that well. See, that's kind of why I want to really kind of go back and reread stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but
They'll give her a boyfriend during the Power Man Iron Fist series who, like, Sons of the Tiger. The dude looks like Oliver Queen to me. That's all I can think of when I see the character.
It's Richard. It's one of the the white guy from the Sons of the used to have the two claw things that White
Yeah,
Tiger did.
yep.
Yeah. But I do like Byrne redoing retelling the origin.
I actually think this is the first time Davos's origin has actually been fully revealed. He's only shown up a couple of times beforehand, and I don't think they ever got into the origin before this.
Really?
So so I think it's like, again, this is issue 17. We've been meaning to tell this story. Let's get it in here, and it's 2-3 pages, and it flows perfectly. Like, this is a great kung fu story in and of itself.
Yeah, it is. And it's got all the trappings of the hidden city, the Shangri-La thing, and I love that. If you've never seen the movie Lost Horizons, it's a Capra movie based on.
Oh no, I actually haven't.
Oh,
Lost Horizons.
Yeah, there's I didn't sold a bunch of DVDs or got rid of them, and I kept that because there was some stuff cut out in the 40s. It's a black and white. It stars Ronald Coleman, and I love it. It's Frank Capra. They go to Shangri-La. Watch it if you can. It's definitely made in the very early 40s, maybe late 30s.
All right.
But then the noble white man. But I like it. It's because all the people who are on the plane that crashes near it and end up in Shangri-La are there for different reasons, and that's what's neat. And the actors are good. But that's what this is. This is just pulp stuff, and it works so well. And is Davos supposed to be? He's Caucasian too, isn't he?
No. He's a native, like, say Chinese, because he's the son of the Thunderer. So.
Oh, that's right. Because
right. So because he also actually Danny's father, who this is where my memory Danny's dad is at least half white. I can't remember if his mother is from Kunlun. That's where my memory gets a little fuzzy. So that. Because there are points where he refers to Danny as like a half breed and all of that. So they do address like kind of that racial undertone there.
Oh, okay. But I like that. I like Davos's. I mean, we're still in the era that
it's
everybody
the 70s.
Yeah, it's a 70s kung fu. It's a weird color mix, the green and the blue. But then again, Byrne thought Danny's was orange.
Yeah, but
well, he's colorblind, and Roger Stern used to change his pen colors because they had to be labeled.
Oh.
And they worked together. So for Charlton, so the story was that Roger Stern would grab Byrne's pens and change the labels. Because he's completely colorblind.
I did not know that.
No, so that's why you'll see the weird Danny in the brown and yellow costume.
Okay.
Or Fangs is the brown one for Wolverine. Because his color choice is like you have to tell me what he knows what goes together because people have to tell him.
Gotcha.
Because he can't tell. Well, he can tell by contrast, but that's about it. But
right.
We get the flashback, and then we find Spidey's found him on top of a rooftop, as all heroes and villains do in movies and in comic books. They move around the city, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. I think that would be really noticeable, and you get caught more often than not. But
yeah, I do love this bit where Davos flanks Spider-Man off, and Spidey has to hits one wall of a building, has to leap to the other before eventually hitting the ground. It's just a really good sequence.
Yeah, and Spidey's sense doesn't go off into till Davos has climbed down a 3 or 4-story building.
Yes.
Hanging just to the small little ledges created by the molding of the building. But Spidey gets a punch in.
I double checked. This is the only actual punch he gets in these 2 issues against the villain.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But I love that Misty catches Davos's arm and slams him into the wall with her bionic. See, I have a problem with her only having a bionic arm and doing that. She doesn't have a bionic shoulder.
Oh, she did. Okay,
It's not, I had the same problem. Even as a child, I went with my brother, Huey. It doesn't matter how strong one arm is. He can't lift somebody over his head. Wouldn't the bionic arm just tear itself out of his shoulder? And he was like, yeah, it would. It doesn't make sense,
I was going to make a $6 Million Man reference, but I don't know the show that well.
Oh, no, but that's it. Yeah, it's because he would do stuff with one. It's like, yeah, but strength, your pec, it's like, it's just the arm. But and Colleen takes a sword to him. Oh, because it's scabbard. I love it in these days because heroes that, like, you're a Defender fan, they make sure in every issue, whenever Valkyrie hits someone with a sword, and she hits it with the flat of the blade. We're not, And Colleen, they're going, we're just not going to even take it out of the scabbard.
I know. It's like, the sharp point is just turn it 90 degrees, folks. Eventually, the fight gets them to where they're just like on a ballpark somewhere.
Oh yeah, they're just in some.
Spidey's trapped.
Oh yeah, he gets the bat stop. Oh no, nowhere to turn, dude. It's a wire fence. You're Spider-Man. Knock it the fuck over. What the hell? I know. And then there's Danny to the rescue, and he's got he doesn't have his powers, but he's still got his skill. And that's another great battle.
Yes, I love that Davos with the Iron Fist power, like you can see the light actually coming off of Spider-Man's mask, and it's just reflecting really cool effect that I don't think gets used enough.
Oh yeah, and I like that the power gets more and more out of
control.
Yeah, and that's when Danny siphons it back.
Yep. Let's see, what is it? The Iron Fist is a force of will. The power of Shao Lao can be shaped by the warrior who possesses it. But above all, it has to be controlled. Davos has forgotten that, if he ever knew. And now the power is turning on him, consuming him. I've got to help him. And then they just do a hug, they hug it out, for lack of a better phrase.
And then he's gone.
He's gone, and just, there's no page numbers on here. That's weird. But the battle, you see, Missy yells for Danny, and then this really cool shot of just black and orange as he stands up with the power of the Iron Fist restored to him. I'm like, if you don't like Danny Rand, I got nothing for you, folks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great character. And this is a good ending too. This is a good ending to all these arcs. And it's setting up something at the end here at the end because you got Thunderer talking with
with the Gust and Jade. Yeah, so it's like, and they gave you enough here in Steel Servant's flashback. So if you had only ever read this issue, had no idea who Iron Fist was before or after, this epilogue isn't at least 100% out of nowhere. They gave you some context for it. And I think that is really good.
Yeah. Well, I think at this point, too, Marvel Comics is a good book. It's a really good book because it's got Byrne and Claremont on it every issue. Because I mean, and this is where, folks, if you don't know it, the next to the last issue of Iron Fist is the introduction of Sabretooth.
Yep. Yeah, started out as an Iron Fist villain before Claremont brought him right over to the X-Men.
Yeah, and the X-Men appear in issue 15, the last one. It's after the death of Phoenix because it's right after because Wolverine's still
Jean Grey's there.
Is she?
Yeah. Jean Grey and Misty Knight were roommates at this point.
Then why is...
Yeah,
why is he wearing that costume? How is he wearing that costume?
Again, this is where I'm not a big enough X-Men. I'm not a real big X-Men reader, so I don't know why, like, Wolverine's in the Fang costume, but yeah. All right, I got nothing
Oh,
for you on
wait a
that
minute.
one.
Oh, because this is. She doesn't. This is when Byrne first took over the book. Her Dark Phoenix is later.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is just after um, they go to they go to the Shire homeworld the first time when Cockrum did one issue and the next issue is Byrne. So
Okay.
and Byrne liked the costume, so and you decided to steal it for just a little while. Okay, I liked it. Claremont, yeah, he overwrites, and at different times in his career, he overwrites at different levels. I do not think
Yes.
this is overwritten. I think this is very
No.
1970s comics. There's a lot of exposition. There's some pontificating and some speechifying from the bad guys. But I don't mind, man. If I can read a Bill Mantlo, but he ain't no more wordy than Bill Mantlo.
Nope,
I,
not in these. These flowed amazingly well.
yeah. So I liked it. It makes me want to read this whole. I got so much stuff to read. I am really got too much. I got to kind of because I jump around. Y'all, if you're following me on social media, you see where I'm jumping around. And I made the mistake of starting a 0 hour reread and went, fuck, I remember. I like all these issues. This is an era of DC I really love. Clark Kent got a ponytail. I'll deal with it. And especially when he's in an issue drawn by John Bondovi. But these are fun, and these are great characters. I think my experience is mostly like Power Man Iron Fist. I mean, I just think it's one of the best Marvel comics ever written. I think they are one of the two or three great teams, Buddy Acts in comics. I put them right up there with Booster Gold and Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. What's your take on these?
Yeah, no, I would co-sign all of these. Like, like I said, I'm not a big Claremont guy, but I really like these, so that, that I think that's a sign of approval. This is, early Byrne, but it's good. It's still good Byrne here. Yeah, read this, then go and after you're done reading this, go in and to read the Power Man and Iron Fist series from, I guess 48 till 125, and
yeah, that was a good run. That book was forever.
Somehow Power Man and Iron Fist, they, born out of the blaxploitation kung fu crazes, lasted until the mid '80s. So
yeah, it was
good
a
on them for
popular
that.
book. I still own a single issue of it, the Doctor Who tribute issue.
Oh, okay, yep, I know what you're talking about.
All right, hey, I'm gonna pause here. All right, folks. Well, let's do a little more. Let's do some recommendations. What are you reading or watching that you think listeners would like to enjoy?
So I've mentioned Ed Brubaker a dozen times, I think, over the course of this episode. Mm-hmm. So one more time with him and Sean Phillips did another original graphic novel release. I think about 2 weeks ago, Houses of the Unholy. So,
ooh, how is that?
While it's not my favorite of their collaborations, they're still one of the best. This is still a really good series. It deals a lot with the satanic panic of the 1980s and some of the ramifications. So the long and short is, when the main character, she was a little girl, she kind of got caught up in satanic panic, and now some of the kids she went to like daycare with have been killed, who were also kind of wrapped up in all of that. 40 years later, it's come to bite her in the ass. As there's really only one of the kids really tried to push that fictional narrative on her. Like I said, I wish it was my favorite. It's not, unfortunately. It's still definitely worth a read. But Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, I think, are one of the best collaborative teams of the 21st century. Yeah. So anytime they release something, read it, love it. So that Fatale, Reckless, The Fade Out is really good if you're into like 40s noir. My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies. Bad Weekend if you ever just want to feel bad about being a comics fan sometimes.
Oh, that's cool. I'm pretty I've read a little bit of his detective stuff. I don't know. I've read more Rucka non-superhero than him. I kind of put him and Rucka on the same level, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I've never read a Brubaker comic that didn't blow my mind. I bought that Gotham Central Omni, and I really want to kind of do a deep read of it, but I'm gonna wait until I got some time because I think that's one I'm not gonna want to jump around in. I don't think you can, but
No.
it's a series that it's Brubaker and then it's Rucka, it's Brubaker because they write different shifts, which I like on the Force. For me, I think I'm gonna want to just kind of general because I haven't really dug into them. The couple DC compendiums they've put out have been really good. The Robin one, which I just got a couple weeks ago, is freaking amazing. It's the right era. It's the Tim Drake stuff. It's got one of the prettiest covers I've ever seen on a book in a long time. But I like that, and I've liked the Nightwing. They're putting some more out, but I've liked those. But I did get. I'm going to read it. Is the Superman by Kurt Busiek hardcover. It's a fat one. It's like it's even fatter than the. It's like 1.5 of the Burns Super Man of Steel ones. Wish it was oversized. It'd be nice. But it starts with his Two Worlds Finest, and then it's everything. It's not just his run, but it gets into his run and gets through Camelot, which I have in the deluxe oversize because it's Carlos Pacheco. But they're going to do another one. They may have 3 of them in it. But it was where I like their DC's really, folks. If you're not following, there's a good look on my feed. I share a lot from this DC Twitter feed because they're pumping out trades. They're doing their DC's Finest. Is that what they're calling it? DC's Finest?
Yep.
And there's some good ones in there. I don't
stuff.
need most of them because a lot of them are ones I don't, not interested, or I've got them in other forms. But I may get the Justice League ones for the Silver Age stuff because I've got one Omni, and that's starting with their first appearance to about issue 30. So I may get those for that. They're putting out Suicide Squad. Ostrander, they've got some Catwoman that looks interesting to me that I haven't read. They're doing some Golden Age. It's a nice mix, and they're doing Legion. They got two good volumes of Legion coming out right around, and they're kind of close together. It's like the Grell and the Cockrum stuff.
Yeah, stuff we've talked about recently. So I might double dip just to support. Like, hey, more Legion books.
Yeah, I mean, but it's kind of neat. And they're going to do some Superboy. I may take a look at that see what's in that Superboy, like do my homework and see if it's worth getting. But I didn't even find Superboy stories in the 70s really that good. I like the ones that were in Superboy when Legion was back because you had Bob Brown with Murphy Anderson art, and it was really pretty. But it was still, let's go to the sock pop teen kind of silliness. But yeah, check out some of those, especially the Kurt Busiek, because he did write it was a short run on Superman. His Superman was good. It was good, and it led into some neat stuff. All right, folks. Hey, next weekend there may be a pause because it is my brother-in-law's 50th birthday, and we're going out of town. And it's Labor Day, so there will probably not be an episode up next weekend, but we'll be back. I'm going to try. My job is stabilized. I can't say anything even on here yet because final announcements but my work stabilized a little bit. And once I'm done with evals, which have to be done by Friday for a bunch of people, I will have more time and hopefully more time to do it because Starman will start up again in about 2 weeks with the final Infernal Devices chapter. And we'll get back to Will Payton, and I'm going to try to figure out to find time to catch up on a Legion issue I missed because I was so hot to talk issue 200 with Kirby.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, hey, as always, thank you. Be smart, be safe, please be kind to one another, and read some comics. Read some Kung Fu.
Take it easy, everybody.